and gentlemen, we are here. The last leader talks of SLX Canada 2017. Are you guys excited? Yes? Excellent. Up next is Cliff Lerebours. He is from Ottawa, but he is the 2012 Schulich leader from Queen's University. His title and talk, "I'm a Schulich leader, now what?" will provide key insights that he has learned to date so that we can all apply to the corporate and academic world. Ladies and gentlemen, mesdames et messieurs, the pride of Canada's capital and the best thing to come out since Confederation 150 years ago. Please give me a hand in welcoming Cliff Lerebours.
Thank you, brother. This on? Can everybody hear me? Oh, I think I'm on. Perfect, perfect. Well, just before I start, once again, I think I wanted to make sure we give hands to all the wonderful people making all this possible today. So join me in giving everyone here a round of applause. When I thought about what I wanted to speak about today, one thing came to mind. I remember one key word that my grandpa used to say. He said, "Cliff, everyone has one favorite radio station that they listen to every single day, and that's WRIFM. What's in it for me?" So what I really realized was this was not about me. It was really about you. It was really how some of the lessons I've taken from my personal experience could best be summed up in a way that you guys could take tangible value from and maybe help you essentially get to better opportunities as they have helped me done as well. So I still remember my first year of university, I read this quote, and it said, "You do not get out of life what you want. You get out of life who you are." Now, the first time I read this, I was flabbergasted, because I want a lot of things. But what I realized is by changing my frame of reference, it was really giving me the solution to anything and everything I could possibly want. What it told you was, essentially, you had to determine who was the person you needed to become in order to get what you were looking for. And by reverse engineering that process, then you would indeed become the right person and eventually get that. So my goal today is really to share with you a 5-step process that I have really utilized all throughout my experiences that have helped me into some, as I mentioned, amazing opportunities. So whether you're looking for a new job or whether you're looking to get into a different career, whatever success may mean to you today, these are a 5-step process that you can literally take from here and apply, and they will, and I guarantee this, give you the results because I'm an advocate for it, and I've seen them firsthand. So the first step in the process is really beginning by auditing yourself, right? And this is one of the hardest part. It's about being personally and brutally honest with yourself. And I remember the first time I had to sit down to do this. It's about auditing to find out all the things that you're good at and all the things that you're bad at. And what I recommend is for you to find close friends, people that you trust, who will be able to give you direct and unbiased, essentially, comments on who you are as a person. Now, this is a hard part because you have to face a lot of things that you're not good at. But what it does is by identifying where you're currently starting and where you're currently wanting to go and the person you need to become, then it gives you a point of reference as to what you need to make up for in order to be that person, which brings us to step number 2, skills. In order to develop the skills required, this will require you to essentially learn to love working for free. Now, some of you guys wondering, I'm looking for a job. I don't want to work for free. And I challenge you to think that they are not exclusive. They are not mutually exclusive at all. The reason for it is this. No matter what job you're looking to apply for, no matter what career you're looking to get into, I challenge you to say and ask yourself, would you do it if you weren't getting paid for it? Would you do it for free? And why? Because by asking yourself that question and removing immediate gratification from the whole picture, it forces you to understand and identify whether or not it fits with your self-development process. If it does, then that means you're in line into becoming the person that you want to become in order to get what you want out of life. I think back to a lot of the times when I was away during my work term years, I spent a lot of time reading, a lot of time on self-development. And those were processes, oddly enough, I paid for quite a few of those in order to gain those skills. But they were some of the most valuable time that I ever spent. And so whether that means, as you guys are considering into starting new clubs, maybe some new volunteering opportunities, and maybe going into different ventures, these are the questions you should be asking yourself every single moment, because these will lead you to the right people And which brings us to our third step in the process, which is your crowd. Now, we've all heard you will be the sum, essentially, you'll be the average of the 5 closest people who are always around you, and that there is truth to it, because relationships, they matter. And no man here or woman, none of us are an island, and there is a truth to it for that. I know as millennials, oftentimes we can get caught up behind the phones, the desktops, laptops, but there is value to actually building significant and genuine relationship with people. So I really urge you guys to get outside of your bubble and learn to take a deep interest in other people as well, because this has proven to be the most important thing. Why? These are the same people, when they have the same mission as you, based on where you are looking to go, they will hold you accountable. They will force and stretch you. They will teach you and show you different insights, different way of thinking that you are not accustomed to. And this actually leads us to the 4th step, finding a mentor. By finding yourself in the right crowd, you have access to people who have a lot more experience at life than you currently have. And as they always say, you should be not only learning from your own mistakes, but other people's as well. And that's where I think there is immense value. One of the big things, and I mentioned this previously today, was while I was away, I realized one thing. Our biggest asset as a Schulich leader is the fact that there's a lot of worries that common students do not essentially deal with on a day-to-day basis that we do not have to deal with. And this moment came, I was driving one day, and what I realized was there is such an immense pressure when you're always constantly thinking about how to afford school or what you need to do in order to pay for a loan, that eventually your mental bandwidth get occupied with so much on essentially paying back a loan and going through school that you're forced and you're unable to think. You're unable to think about producing. And this is one of the biggest assets I think we all have as Schulich leaders, because it forces us and it places us in a situation where we do not have to make decisions based on immediate gratification such as money, but it allows you to actually see the long-term benefit and make decisions that will put you in a better situation moving forward. So as you see here, the key word there is value. So when you do find a mentor, these are people that will provide you with immense amount of value based on their experiences. But it's not just a take and take. It requires you to give as well. So I urge you guys to also find creative ways of giving to them as well, because this will ensure there's a constant free flow of information, right? So one big aspect is a lot of these people, oftentimes, they're a lot more accomplished in their lives, so this will be a hard process to do. But this is where your creativity and your persona has to come across in order for you to find ways you can bring value to them and continue this relationship moving forward. Now, do have to do a disclaimer. Now, no matter what you're going to embark on, there will be failure along the way. And I think this goes back to something I read about as well. And it said why A students work for C students. And for the longest time, I never understood that, because for me, if I understood everything, if I had the knowledge required, why was that a fact? Why so many of the accounts that we see this so readily happens in the workforce? But the truth of the matter is, as Schulich leaders, we're all guilty of this. Essentially, what happens is as Schulich leaders, we essentially lose the ability to fail, because we're so used and so accustomed to getting great grades, doing well, exceeding, that eventually when we get out to life, the moment we're faced with adversity, we don't know how to respond. And so what I want to urge you guys to keep in mind is that as you go through life, there will be failures along the way, but see it for what it is. It's merely an event, a feedback towards becoming the person that you need to become to get what you want. As you see here, step number 5 essentially says you need to learn to just mitigate your risk. So the goal is not to never fail, but to ensure that your failures are never fatal. I mean, if you're a pilot and you fail, that's a bad failure, because oftentimes you don't get a second chance. But by becoming the right person, acquiring the right skills, and being around the right crowd, then that will mitigate those failures for you. And as you see here, those are some of key notable names who can definitely attest to today that they have failed all along the way, but they saw it as for what it was, merely an event. So, in parting, I want to leave you guys with this. From my experience, I've realized that no matter what you're looking to go after, it will be harder than you think, but it will also be easier than you think. So